Welcome in, everyone, to Picks and Parlays, Bettors Edge. We've got NFL Week 4. I'm Hannah Mears. That's Craig Trapp. That's Andrew Fillipponi. This is Picks and Parlays, Bettors Edge. And if you want more exclusive content, make sure you download that brand new Picks and Parlays app, available on all mobile device platforms. Guys, it's been a fun couple of weeks so far in the NFL. We're starting to figure out identities of teams, who they are. We might have lost some starting quarterbacks throughout the week. There's some injuries. There's some bets we may or may not have lost.
Against the Steelers.
But hey, there's some we've won. There's
While
some
I was
we've
in
won.
Vegas, no less. That was a tough one for me.
Maybe you're the good luck charm. Maybe we should have Pony bet against the Steelers every week and then send him to the game, and then everybody else get on the Steelers. I think that's where we need to be. But I
did have Arizona. I just want to make that clear. I said they could beat the Cowboys.
Ugly underdog.
You did say that. You said they could very well come out and beat the Cowboys. Listen, Josh Dobbs, though, be careful. Don't get too big for your britches. He's out here on social media feeling himself. He is living QB1 lifestyle. Can't get his jersey, though, in the team store.
No, they did it finally.
Finally?
Yes.
Can Josh Dobbs get his jersey? All right. Well, you know, London folk over there, everybody's going to want some jerseys this week. That's the first game we have. I love a good Sunday morning game. Get your coffee, kick off the NFL day. That's a 9:30 game in London. We're talking Falcons and Jaguars. The Jaguars are a 3-point favorite in this one. Total sitting around 43.5. When we go overseas, what do you like in this one, Craig?
Well, across the pond games are not the most watched games, believe it or not, in the U.S. because you got to get up on the East Coast early. You got to get on the West Coast 6 a.m., have your coffee and be there for 6:30. So, but the one thing we've seen consistently in these games has been the overs. The overs have been amazing, even with the Jags team that I don't understand how they're struggling on offense, but they are. But I think they get it right this week. I like the over in this matchup. I'm not going to go crazy with the side on this one. I just think you take the over and you just sit back and watch the points come.
I think that's because they assume sloppy play because they're going overseas, so those totals are usually pretty low.
I still think it's low. I was thinking because of the history of the overs the last 2 or 3 years, I'm thinking this is probably going to be 45.5. So when it came out 43, even 43.5 now, I thought that was extremely low. But I think it has a lot more to do with the Jags' struggles on offense, and I think it gets right this week. These slow starts have to end, or this Jags team is going to find themselves, behind teams that aren't very good, like Tennessee.
The positive thing in this matchup, though, the Jaguars have played like 3 straight games over in London. The Falcons played in 2021. So both of these teams are familiar with what this environment is, what the schedule can be like, the toll it can take on your body. So, Pony, are you considering any of that when you go to look at this game?
Not really. The number one thing for me with this game is I think that we saw last year odds makers in this division, the South, are slow to move off the favorite, even though that team has performed poorly. For example, last year, a month in, the Colts were still the favorite, even though we were watching Matt Ryan get obliterated behind that offensive line because they were pot committed to them. They had picked them to win it in the preseason and didn't want to move off that pick. I think the same thing's happening here with Jacksonville. This line, I think, is living off of last year's reputation. If you just go by their performance in the first 3 games, they have no business being favored. I'm not saying they're a terrible team, but right now, if you're offering me points with a team that I do think is competitive in Atlanta, yeah, they laid an egg in Detroit. It was an awful offensive performance. We know usually they can run the ball really well. And Trevor Lawrence this year, where are you, brother? 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got outplayed by Stroud last week. I'm going to take Atlanta, and I'm even tempted to play them on the money line outright in this game.
Pony, I'm on the same page as you in this one. I actually like the Falcons with that +3 number. Right now, the last 5 London games have been decided by an average of 4.6 points. So these end up being closer games than I think what some people might expect. Like you said, I'm not super high on the Jaguars right now. I think they have a lot to prove offensively. And the favorites of the last 5 London games as well, the favorites haven't done well, except the Atlanta Falcons. They were favored by 3 against the Jets in 2021 and ended up winning by 8. So I'm going to say they carry some of that good juju over into London. I think it's going to be a closer game than expected. I don't think either of these teams know exactly who they are offensively yet, but Atlanta has some playmakers that the Jaguars need to look out for. I think they're going to be excited walking into this one. I like the Atlanta Falcons at +3 over in London. Now let's come back to the States. We're going to head over to these 1 o'clock games. Commanders and Eagles. The Eagles have looked fantastic. Now, they haven't looked unbeatable necessarily. It's not like their offense is unstoppable, but they're a complete team right now. And in week 4, when you're undefeated, riding high, I think this is a good thing to take back home in Lincoln Financial, especially when you think about the Commanders and the way they have to come back in Lincoln Financial. Pony, do you think they can?
So, Craig, last week, going with some of the smelly underdogs, that worked for me. And so I'm going to make another argument for an upset here. Maybe not money line play, probably not. I'm going to take the Commanders with the points. They won this game in Philly last year. Remember that. They scored 32 points and went to Philly and won. So I do think there's a matchup there. Probably comes down to the fact that Washington's defensive line is really good. So they match up better than most teams do against that amazing Eagles offensive line. So I think they'll neutralize DeAndre Swift in that run game a little bit. We still have not seen Jalen Hurts have a signature MVP level game. He hasn't needed to. Division games, typically close. I think there's a lot of points right now. Washington it was not, I watched that whole game. It was not as bad as the final score indicated because they turned the ball over so many times in the red zone. They should have scored way more than 3 points against the Bills. I think they're less sloppy in this game, and I think they cover.
Yeah, I like all of your analysis in that one. When you look at this Commanders team right now, they averaged 3.3 passing yards per attempt against the Bills. They were abysmal. And this is the thing with the Commanders. They can either look like the best team in the NFL one week or the absolute worst team the next week. I think going into Lincoln Financial, they're going to struggle. An Eagles team in Lincoln Financial, they score early, they score often. This is just what we've seen from them in the past few years. So I'm going to give a little bit of a same game parlay in this one, just so there's enough plus money value because I like the Eagles straight up. But obviously, when you look at that money line, right now, it's not something you want to be putting your money all in on. So I'll give you a little bit of a same game parlay. I'm going to say the Eagles money line because the Commanders have to try to bounce back offensively inside of Lincoln Financial, a hard place to play in. And then I also like the Eagles first quarter -1.5. The Eagles are great at home when it comes to getting in the end zone early. They're averaging 7.3 points per game in the first quarter versus the Commanders just around 3.3. I expect the Commanders to fall behind early, the Eagles to have a ton of momentum, and then maybe we'll see the game even out towards the end. But if you pair those, get a little plus money value. Craig, what are your thoughts?
Well, Washington is definitely a stinky underdog. We saw that last week. We were one of two. We both liked the stinky underdogs. The Bears didn't show up again. Arizona was unbelievable, and it wasn't close. I think this is a tough spot for the Eagles. The Eagles had played 3 pretty good games so far. They really haven't played poorly. So I'm staying away from the side in this one because it screams that anything can happen in a division game. I'm playing the under here. We saw last year when they played, it was a very high-scoring game. Yeah. I think this year, after what we saw with Washington last week, you have to take the ball out of a quarterback that makes poor decisions. And I think Ron Rivera is going to keep it close, going to run the ball and say, hey, sometimes punting is your best friend in close games. And, I think it was Urban Meyer maybe that said, punt's his favorite play of the game because it means you're not turning the ball over. This is a game where I think there's going to be a lot of punts. The Eagles' run game is the key. The Eagles' run game can just control the clock. We saw that late in the game against Tampa Bay. That's a pretty good defense. They controlled the clock, and I think that's what they do here. They play super physical game, both sides of the ball. Philly does. I like the under. I think we get it at 44.5.
Yeah, we're around 44.5 right now.
I see some 44s out there. I like it either way. I think this is both teams in the high teens. I could see like 17-14 type of game and a old school football here. A lot of running.
Absolutely, especially toward the second half in this one. Like I said, the Eagles are an early and often at home type of team, and then they've struggled toward the second half of games. So I don't mind that bet at all. Might have to sprinkle that one a little bit. Moving forward, though, 2 teams that everyone's really excited to see, the Bills and Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins are traveling to Buffalo, so they are not the favorite in this one, despite making the Broncos look like a JV football team last week with a 70-piece. So the Bills favored by 3 in this one. Pony, I have to get your analysis on this. Is this are the Bills pretenders in this one?
So I was out on the Bills in the preseason. I did not like them this year. I thought there were things about them that kind of scared me as a huge favorite, one of the teams behind Kansas City to win the Super Bowl right there. I thought they were regressing off of where they were 2 years ago when they almost got to the Super Bowl, the 13-second gaffe against Kansas City. I'm going to take them in this game. And the reason why I like them at home, laying only 3, if it were 3.5 or more, I'd take Miami. I think this is a payback game. Last year, this is where things started to shift for the Bills. They went to Miami. They lost. Tua had the injury, but that was where I think for the first time we saw some of that bad Josh Allen show up, where the turnovers became a problem. They had tons of yards but gave the ball back. I think they're investing more in this game than Miami is. Last year, I thought for Miami, it was a game for them where they needed to show people that they were for real. And I actually think it swung back the other direction. There's so much hype for the Dolphins now. People are so convinced that they're actually the next best team in the AFC behind Kansas City. So I think Buffalo gets revenge and beats them -3 in this game. I really like them to win this game and make a big statement.
And you're actually saying -3 in this one. You don't think it's going to be closer than that? No faith in the Dolphins
here?
Well,
I have faith. I think you said it best. I think the Broncos quit in that game. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking what they did against Denver with a total grain of salt.
Craig, agree, disagree? You like the Dolphins?
I'm on the other side here. I think the Dolphins are the best team in football right now. I think they make you play their style of game. They get up and they say, come get us. And I think if Buffalo can't run the ball, which, and it's kind of a double-edged sword with Buffalo, because when they run the ball, the quarterback is the best running guy, so you might get injured. Tua is the concern. When he's healthy the last 2 years, they've been the best team in football. Remember in the playoffs, there's a little revenge here also from Buffalo. They went Miami went 2 there last year. Of course, no Tua. We were on third-string quarterback, and actually was pretty close, if you remember.
They were right
and I
in the
actually thought that gave the Bengals the game plan to go in, because they basically did the same game plan and dominated them the next week in the weather. So to me, I just think Miami's the better team. They have so many weapons. Waddle, I think, will be back, this week. And, man, this Miami team, I do think the under maybe is a sneaky play as well, because when you put up 70, everybody's going to be on the over this week. So I think maybe it's a little lower scoring. High in the 50s, a total in the 50s is just ridiculous for a total. But my best play on this game is going to be on the Dolphins +3. I think they went outright.
Yeah, I think that under is a sneaky play, too. I think it's inflated a bit just because of what we've seen with the Dolphins right now. But if we're not, we could be in for some exciting football with the Dolphins this season if they end up putting up more than expected. But I actually like the Dolphins in this one, too. I'll take them straight up. I do like that +3 number, actually, but I'm just going to go play the safe bet here. I'm going to say Dolphins money line. Straight up, walk into Buffalo, get the job done. I do think it'll be a closer game. To Pony's point, I think the Bills will come back and start to look more of what we expected them to, led by Josh Allen this year. But I just think Miami can run the ball. They can create explosive plays. They have enough defensively. If they get up early, they can cause the Bills to play from behind. I think that atmosphere will help the Bills a little bit. But I don't really see the Bills being a 3-point favorite in this one after what we've seen from Tua and the Dolphins so far. So I'll go ahead and take the Dolphins money line in this one in Buffalo.
A sneaky thing here in this game is, for future bettors, whoever wins this game, all of a sudden is going to be right behind Kansas City. If Miami wins, their odds are going to go way down, especially if they're impressive again. Because last week, that number, you put up 70 in the NFL, and they could have kicked the field goal to break the all-time record. That was special type game, even though maybe Denver did.
I just one more quick thought on this game. I think that if you had asked casual football fans to blindly guess the line for this game, they would have said the Dolphins were a small favorite.
Yeah,
they would have said Miami maybe -1.5, -2. And so the fact that the odds makers still believe in the Bills to this extent, that is one of the reasons why I'm leaning Bills in this game.
It was a sneaky line.
If this was a December game in Buffalo and we had the same sort of storyline for these teams, I would predict this line to be where it is with Buffalo because of that advantage in the cold weather where they are in their home field. At this point in the season, I was shocked to not see the Dolphins favored, like you said, at -1.5. So does it scare me a little? Yes. But does it scare me enough to back away from the Dolphins? No, I've seen too much from them.
Miami does have the best run game in football right now. Their two-headed monster was they did not put up points necessarily by just slinging the ball around. They were running the ball, scoring those points. So
I said that in the beginning of the year when I talked about the Dolphins. I said, watch out for that run game. All of those weapons, but they have a great run game, and it's starting to show the amount of depth that they have on this team. When it comes to the Patriots and the Cowboys, the Patriots, that team that Pony has been riding high with all week. But Craig, I'm going to let you start this one. Tell us what you think when the Cowboys are coming as 7-point favorites in this one, but they've looked like they do have more work to do on offense when it comes to a team that matches up better with them.
Well, I mean, Cowboys last week were probably the most disappointing team in football. I mean, Arizona is better than people thought. I mean, we can just 100% say that. They've been in every game, including pounding the Cowboys. Cowboys, of course, you lose your second best defensive player, midweek. I think that definitely had an effect on them.
Yep.
That's not something easy to fix. When you lose one of your best players on defense, it's not like you can just go pick up a guy on free agency and he's going to change your secondary. So, to me, I'm taking the Patriots here plus the points. I think the Patriots, they could easily be 3-0. And if they were 3-0, what would this line be? I mean, it would be probably 2.5, 3 points. So because they lose the first two games, and because last week they basically said, hey, we're not going to turn the ball over. We're just going to make Zach Wilson beat us, and there was no chance. That was never going to happen. To me, I think you take the Patriots here. I think they're the much better defense at this point of the season. I think Patriots are top 5 defense, and I think the run game, they'll slow this game down. There's not going to be a ton of possessions, and I think when you maybe only have 8 to 10 possessions in this game, 6.5 is a big number. So I'm going to take the underdog.
I completely agree. Pony, go ahead, give us a Patriots rant here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Patriots fan, just full disclosure here, but I've liked them.
I'm starting the rumor.
I like the odds with them every week. And when you look at what they've done, they're 1-2 against the spread this year, but they could easily be 3-0 against the number. They've played well in all 3 games. And so now it's another inflated number. I don't really know where the odds makers get off here making Dallas a touchdown favorite when New England's defense is going to keep, I think, keep Dallas under 24 points. That'll allow for New England to hang in the game. They're not a juggernaut offense. Mac Jones, I think, has been decent to good so far this year. It is Zeke Elliott going back to Dallas. I didn't think this was going to happen, but I kind of feel like the Cowboys miss Zeke. Tony Pollard has not been that kind of difference maker that I thought he'd be in this offense. So you add all that up. I trust Belichick more than Mike McCarthy when it comes to making adjustments. I think Belichick will steal a little bit from that Arizona defensive blueprint last week. And, yeah, they'll exploit that Diggs hole in that Cowboys defense. I think New England +7 is a great play. I think moneyline is also a good play on the Patriots in this one.
I completely agree. I think we're all high on the Patriots this week, and I think the fact that we are, it has to say something, right? Nobody expected this line to be sitting around 7. I don't think the Cowboys have done enough. When you look at what they've done, they beat a team like the Giants. Okay, we saw the Giants' struggles and what they have, so not that impressive now that you look at it. The points that they put up in the shutout was impressive. If you watch that game, you understand where I'm coming from. Then they beat the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, right? Not that impressive. And then you look at a team they are more level-headed with, right? Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals. That didn't turn out well for them. 16 points in that game. And then against a team like the Patriots who are only scoring 17 points per game, I might sprinkle the money. I would sprinkle the total in this one under, but the best play in this one is when you can get the Patriots a +7 and on the money line. I completely agree with both of you. I think this is going to be one of those games where the Patriots show that they should be in this topic of conversation and taken a bit more seriously. And Zeke returning to Dallas, I can't wait to look at what his props are going to be in this one. Do I think he's going to smash and over? Probably not. He might not make that much noise against the Cowboys defense, but will he find the end zone? I think they're going to try everything that they can to get him the ball. Maybe he'll be an anytime touchdown in this one. But yeah, best bets would be +7 and on the money line for the Patriots in Dallas.
When you look at Dallas, I always say, what would happen if Dallas won last week and was impressive? Do you think there would be a 9.5? Because that's probably, they'd be 9.5. I mean, so to me, it's like it only dropped 2 or 3 points because they were so bad. And like you said, they played maybe the worst 2 quarterback performances of the year, the first 2 games. So they were 2-0, impressive because the quarterback play was so bad on the team. So I think Mac Jones is ready for a breakout game.
Absolutely. I would almost say, looking at the Patriots' losses, those were better performances as a whole than what the Cowboys' wins were at this point.
Well, the Dolphins' loss looks even better. No, they had the ball. Could have easily, that flip back, that guy gets the first down. They're going to score.
And look at what they did to Philly's run game, too.
Yeah.
Philly did not run all over them in that
It might be the best two teams in each division right now.
Very
Philly
good defenses
and
in this one. Obviously, the storyline's going to be on Dallas because of their defense and what they've done at Micah Parsons and everything. But this Patriots defense is a put their nose to the grindstone type of unit and can really make it hard for some teams. So
Patriots schedule is brutal. I mean,
watch
maybe
out,
the best team in the AFC they played in Miami, and maybe the best team in the NFC or second best team. And now Cowboys are top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC. So I mean, tough schedule. If New England wins this game, I mean, you in 2-2, you have to be going, yes, we're going to do something.
Absolutely. We're going to have to look toward them and get on the pony train of the Patriots. But Chiefs and Jets, Sunday Night Football. This is a story we now know all too well with Aaron Rodgers being gone. And this could be Zach Wilson's, dare I say, end game.
Is that a Taylor Swift song reference?
I'm
Because I
so
know
glad.
we have to work those
I'm
in now
so
with the
glad.
Chiefs.
Yeah, we have to work those in now with the Chiefs. We all saw Taylor Swift there. Yeah, those are both Taylor Swift references. But no, this really could be Zach Wilson's end game. His team is not happy, especially this amazing defense that the Jets have. They are not happy right now with his performance. They're actually coming out and saying that they want a different quarterback. That is so bad for team dynamic, especially when you're talking about a Chiefs team with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They can pick apart a defense if needed, no matter how good they are, and they will put up points regardless. And the Jets, we've seen, cannot do that. They just have not proven to be a good offense. I think in this one, anytime as a bettor, if I see anything above 7, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go to that side. I'm not really sure about that. This 9.5, I'm going to say the Chiefs minus 9.5 in this one. I have to. I think they're going to go into MetLife. It's going to be a packed stadium, but not because of Jets fans. It's going to be Chiefs fans here. These are Swifties packing the stadium, buying tickets. Seriously, this is a thing. They're hoping to get a glimpse of Taylor Swift. The storyline is in full effect. Craig, where are you at with this one?
I'm done with the Taylor Swift thing, and I think probably the Chiefs are like, we don't need any distractions. We are going for a back-to-back championship. Kelsey, it hasn't bothered him. I mean, he was really good last game. It hasn't bothered the Chiefs' offense. I mean, it was Chicago Bears. I mean, but I faded them the last 2 weeks. They really haven't played a great team and haven't played great against a great team yet. But I think this is a very good defense in the Jets, and I think they're going to be like, hey, let's put up a number here that shows what we really can do, not what we did against the Bears, against a bad team that's, I think, maybe given up a little bit already. I think this week they put up a big number. I don't like laying almost double digits, but I don't see any way around it. Maybe you play the first half and you get that 6 number. I see it a 5.5, 6. The Chiefs in the first half. But I think my better play is to take the 9.5 here. I just think this is a statement game. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and those, they look for a challenge. And this is a defense that will give them a challenge early, but I still think Kansas City minus the number.
Kansas City's the type of team, though, that'll take the points that are given. If they have to kick the field goal, they'll kick the field goal, get the ball back, and then they are more than capable of scoring a touchdown, and they have the game changers like Travis Kelce, that Patrick Mahomes can find him at any moment. Pony, you're laughing over here, shaking your head. I can't read what's going on.
I'm thinking about this Taylor Swift thing, just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. When I was in Vegas last week, I saw Carrie Underwood, and I was more excited to see Brent Musburger than I was to see Carrie Underwood, which gives you a sense for just where I'm at in life. The pop stars don't really get the juices going.
There was a lot
for
of
me.
stars I started on the field, though.
There were.
In Vegas.
Yes, and me included. I like the Jets. Now, Hannah said something that I just want to for a second say I disagree with. She said, the Chiefs are going to score points regardless. They didn't in Jacksonville. They went there and scored 17 points.
To clarify, they have the capability of scoring points when they do. That Jacksonville game is not one that I think is going to define the Chiefs' season.
I don't think it will define their season, but I like the Jets here because so far through 2 games, their defense at home has played great football. New England scored 15, and the Bills, I think, scored 16. So they've held both opponents under 17. Allen turned the ball over that so much. I don't think Mahomes is going to be that careless with the ball. Yep. But I do think what helps the Jets in this game, believe it or not, is the timing of it. I think if this were an early game, you could see maybe the Jets defense and the whole entire team go through the motions. I don't think they want to be embarrassed in prime time again. So that defense, I think, will play great and keep the game to a point where the Jets can have a backdoor cover, at least hang around. I mean, I'm out on Zach Wilson. This is not a pro Zach Wilson. He's going to bounce back. I don't believe what Robert Saleh says, that this team is united and unified and there's harmony there and believing in him. Absolutely not. But I just have seen the Chiefs last year. They went to Indy early in the season against a bad offense and lost outright. I'm just not ready to say they're going to go on the road against a top 5 defense and cover a big number. So I'm going to take the Jets. Sorry, Taylor Swift.
I wonder what the
Donna
team,
Kelsey and all the
hoopla.
I wonder what the team total on the Jets are going to be this week. I mean, it could be 13, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how bad this offense has been in Zach Wilson. Trevor Siemian, I don't know if he's better, but he surely can't be worse.
Yeah, this is going to be a game where prop bets and a lot of those totals are going to be fun to look at. The more definitive those numbers become, the closer we get to Sunday night football. But, okay, agree to disagree on that one between a lot of us, but I think that's going to be a great Sunday night football game, and I think if the Chiefs need to have a big game in this one. But when it comes to best bets here on Bettor's Edge, we're going to give you a one that we want to either double down on or a game we haven't talked about yet. Pony, I'll start with you. Do you have a best bet this week that you want everybody to put their money on?
I do. I like the Browns, which is a sacrilegious thing to say as someone that is a Steelers fan, but I make these bets with this thing, my head, and not right over here, my heart. It is Baltimore going into Cleveland, and it's only a 2.5-point number. The Browns, maybe the best offseason move made by a team this year was Jim Schwartz hired as the Browns defensive coordinator, a legit defensive coach. They lead the league in the fewest yards allowed. It's under 170 yards, which if you look at it historically, if they did that for the whole season, it would be 2000 Ravens-esque. That is how dominant they have been on that side. They completely shut down Derrick Henry last week, and we know that Baltimore still, with Lamar Jackson, needs to be a run-first team. That's how Lamar Jackson was able to beat Cincinnati on the road with his legs. I just don't see Baltimore. Something is still awry with their offense right now. It's not clicking. So with Myles Garrett, their secondary, their defensive line has gotten better too with additions they've made to stop the run. I'm convinced that Cleveland is going to win that game by more than 2 points. So take the Browns.
I would definitely say that one of my best bets is going to be happening in Monday Night Football, but I'm going to double down on something I just talked about. I'm going to say Patriots +7 is my best bet this week. I really do like the Patriots. I think this is going to be a really defensive game. It's going to be able to keep it close. I think the Cowboys offense is going to be exposed a little bit here, and this is just going to be a grinded out type of football game. Zeke's return to Dallas. Go ahead, put on a show. Patriots +7, Craig.
Well, I'm going to double down on one of my bets. The London game, the Jags and the Falcons are going over. And we've said this historically. It's been an over game, these London games. And I think the Jags, they need to get on track here. And I think this is a statement game. I also think the Falcons will throw in 17-20, which will get us plenty to get this over. So I'm taking the over in the London game for my one best bet. I do have a second best bet that will be in the afternoon. Of course, you can get that over at the Picks Parlays app.
Download the new Picks and Parlays app, available on all mobile device platforms for those exclusive picks. I'm Hannah Mears. That's Craig Trapp. That's Andrew Fillipponi, and this is Picks and Parlays Bettor's Edge. Thanks for tuning in.